Today's show is sponsored by SeatGeek. I'm talking about the #1 rated ticketing app. Over 28 million downloads or purchases through the SeatGeek app, along with over 70,000 events offered. I mean, what are we talking about here, baby? When we're looking at sporting events, especially with the NFL season being back around, we know our favorite black and gold team has a pretty cool game this weekend across the pond. Well, for those new customers out there, you know I got something for you, okay? Because, see, you're going to use this promo code Moats, right? And when you do that, along with, using this app, you get a chance to see all the cool stuff that SeatGeek has to offer, all right? So as I pull up the different games and stuff like that, it tells me all the examples of stuff that I want to see, how many tickets I need, where the seats are good at, and everything in between. But use the promo code Moats, receive $20 off of your first order with SeatGeek. It is that simple. But now it's time to get back to regularly scheduled programming. One of the other things, though, that I did want to talk about from around the league standpoint, as we continue, throughout the season, not only are we focusing on what we are doing here in the black and gold, I also said that, I want to make sure that we are kind of looking around and seeing how they talk about us league-wide, what we looking like, right? So one of the things that they obviously do all the time, ESPN Power Rankings, I did just want to see from last week to this week what the conversation is. How are we being viewed around the league? Because we know how we view ourselves. And a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, I'll just say, man, depending on who you are as an individual, if you're more of an optimistic person, you look at this team with a glass half full perspective, and you think that they're probably better than a good amount of teams at this level. If you are more on the pessimistic side, you look at this team and you say, man, they're not better than anyone. They suck. They're trash. We obviously know that them sitting at 2-1 kind of gives us a little bit of confusion, because it's like 2-1 says good, but when we look at some of the minutia in terms of how they acquired those 2 victories and that 1 loss, it doesn't necessarily feel as if our record should reflect that, but it does. And that's the thing. We say, man, you can't take the wins off the board. You won the game. So it doesn't matter what you did well or what you struggled with. Did you win when it mattered the most? And that was ultimately what we have been doing. So I did, like I said, man, want to take some time to look around the league and just see, like I said, how we are viewed. So ESPN every week, they rank, all 32 teams in the sense of, who they think is the best team, who they think is the worst team. So for context, right, just last week, the Steelers were ranked as the 21st best team according to ESPN, right? That's where they had them located at, 21st. So not the worst team, right? But they were 1-1. That was following the loss to the Seahawks. Following the victory versus the Patriots, they have bumped us up to number 17. And what they specifically say, and shout out to Brooke Pryor, who was actually wrote this up, man. She be doing her thing, man. Shout out to Brooke. But she says, some of the big issues, obviously, on defense are giving up explosive plays. That's the 3rd and longs that a lot of us have complained about, right? Why is that happening? Or even in weeks 1 and week 2, the explosive pass plays that we gave up to Jackson Smith and Jigba, to Garrett Wilson, right? It was like, man, we saw a little bit too much of that pop up on our tape. But what she says is the Steelers wouldn't have beaten the Patriots without getting 5 takeaways. The defense has largely been boom or bust this season. Pittsburgh has given up a league high 32 explosive plays, and that's defined as 10 yards or longer. 4 of those turned into touchdowns, including a 4th down 16-yard throw from New England quarterback Drake made a Hunter Henry. Yep. We obviously remember what happened in that Seahawks game with old Kenneth Gainwell as well, but I digress. She says that tied the game in the 4th quarter. Some of that is the result of injuries to starters and communication issues with new personnel. But the Steelers have to find more defensive consistency. And honestly, I would agree with her. I think she was spot on with that, man. Love the turnovers, love the way that we were able to, create that splash and get out of that stadium with a victory. But the explosive plays that we have allowed, and the fact that, they count them at 10 plays or 10 yards or more, which is a little bit different from a player's perspective. We break them down into two categories for explosive plays: explosive runs and explosive passes. Explosive runs are any run over 10, explosive passes are anything over 15, just for, so you can kind of understand how we view the explosive play elements of it. So Her saying 32 to me is a little bit high. But if that's the metric they use, I understand that. Now, shout out to DC 53 because he says 17 is generous. So I do want to look, though, to see who are some of the teams that they have rated in front of us, who are the teams they have rated behind us. And we can figure out, if we're properly rated, underrated, or overrated. Worst team in the league right now, according to ESPN, is the New Orleans Saints. They're sitting at 0-3. They were ranked 32 last week. They ranked 32 again this week. I don't think a lot of y'all are taking Saints over Steelers. Just throwing that out there. Titans, 31st overall in terms of how they have them ranked. They were 27th in week 2. Obviously, they had a nice closer loss, and now they had a blowout loss to the Colts this past game, man. So they're sitting at 0-3 right now. They have them as the 31st ranked team. I don't think anybody is taking Titans over us right now, so that's good too. Giants were ranked 29th according to the ESPN top 32, and now they dropped down to 30th this week following the 22-9 loss to the Chiefs, who, like I said, I watched the Chiefs. I don't think that they're as good as they've been in years past. And I think that it has caught up to them, man, in terms of the roster and, the available pieces that they had to them. But they still found a way to get out of that Giant Stadium. At number 29, they got the Miami Dolphins. They were ranked 28th last week. They're 0-3 also. They just got what the Bills on Thursday night, 31-21. All right. So far, so good. All right. So far, so good. Got the Jets. Shout out to the Jets. Now, I am surprised. Well, not surprised, actually, because Justin Fields got hurt already. So that doesn't surprise me. But the Jets are 0-3. He got hurt. Was it the second game? Yeah, literally second game because Tyrod Taylor just started his pass game. He got hurt versus Buffalo. Now that I think about it. Excuse me on that one. So with them right now, man, 0-3, and one of the biggest issues they say for them on defense, they have 0 takeaways this season. Right? We talked about I didn't say the issues for the other teams. Dolphins, the biggest issues they said were forcing turnovers. New York Giants, they said they're not getting enough sacks from a defense standpoint. Titans, talked about them, man, missing a ton of tackles. And for the Saints, they give up a lot of explosive plays, right? But let's keep it going. The 27th ranked team, according to the ESPN top 32, are the Carolina Panthers. They finally got off the snide this week, man. They were ranked at 31st a week ago, but they beat the Falcons 30-0. Some people thought the Falcons was nice. I was believing in them a little bit, but at the same time, you can see how it's a week-to-week league. 30-0. The Falcons beat the Patriots. So they moved to 27th overall. Hey, let me know, though, any of y'all taking, Panthers over Steelers, all right? I don't think there's a long list of that, but we'll keep it going, all right? We for sure going to keep it going. Because next up, they have the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland did get off the snide. They got their victory versus the Packers this week, right? 13-10. Some people feel like the Packers kind of let it go at the end since they were winning for the majority of the game up until I think it was the final 10 minutes. But the Browns, man, they moved to 1-2. And they also, I think their defense is nice as heck, but they only have one takeaway this year also, all right, from a defensive standpoint. Now, in terms of offense for them, we know it's a little bit of a dumpster fire, right? And not even dumpster fire in the sense of incompetence, because we know Kevin Stefanski is a dope coach. He knows what he's doing, but they're figuring out the quarterback stuff. Obviously, Joe Flacco is the guy that's going for them right now. We'll see how that looks. We know they made the transition at running back. Jenkins does look good. Jenkins looks good, but as a whole, to me, they're more of a run team right now, man. They trying to figure out everything. They can run the ball, play defense, keep it close to the vest, but they still are struggling right now. And I know DC 50. I know you ain't about to say Cleveland, you taking them over us. So I ain't gonna hold you on that one. All right. We just beat the 25th ranked team. That was the Patriots. All right. They were ranked 24th last week. They were ranked 21st week. We just beat them. All right. Funny thing, they say for their big issue on defense is the lack of turnovers. Then obviously we know the turnovers that they do have on the other side of the ball. So protecting the ball is an issue for them as well. Cowboys, they got at 24. Cowboys sitting 1-2 right now. They obviously got whooped by the Bears. How y'all feel about the Bears? Because I thought the Bears was kind of cheeks, and the Bears won 31-14. Right? It was week to week, but Cowboys sitting at 1-2 also right now. Okay, and we know with the Cowboys, man, offensively when they are on, they can go. CeeDee Lamb banged up right now. George Pickens was a little bit frustrated, but he did touch paint. All right, but their defense is trash. They not stopping anybody, right? We've seen that. How many explosive plays week in and week out, and why do you think Chicago looks so good against them, right? So they're at 24. At 23, the Chicago Bears, they're 1-2. Their one victory was against who? The team we was just talking about, the Dallas Cowboys, right? So we go league wide, and we just talking about them. It's like, oh, okay, Check out their pass rush. Not the best. They don't get home a lot. All right. Now, at 22, you got the Vegas Raiders. I like Geno. I'm a Geno Smith guy. I like Genty to a degree. I think early on, I still need to see more of his game to see if it's going to actually translate to this level. Early on, though, it's like, man, he's still explosive. He's still fiery, but it doesn't look like Boise State. And it's a natural transition. That's what happens when you go from the collegiate ranks to this level. We talked about Caleb Johnson and how he's dealing with an adjustment. Genty, same way, not as, extreme, but it doesn't look the same way it was looking early on. And that's just a part of this level. But for them, they're sitting at 1-2. They obviously took the L to the Commanders, got beat pretty bad, 41-24. They're a good team, though, in some parts of it because of Geno, because of what he brings in terms of that calming voice, that true veteran quarterback, but they still seem, like they missing stuff. And it's hard for me to put them ahead of us right now based off of, number one, their record, but more importantly, even what they have on their roster offensively and defensively, I'm not a fan of it over what we currently bring out when we talk about our quarterback and our receivers and our pass rushers, heck, even our kicker, unless you're a Daniel Carlson guy. I'll take Boston Water Boys. All right. Even though this kicker this week for the Vikings, my man hit from 62. We'll talk about that tomorrow, though. All right. But my man hit from 62. I said, whoa, boss. He said, we got action. All right. But let's keep it going, though, man. Texans. I know the Texans are supposed to be the fan favorite, one of the Super Bowl, favorites or predicted teams. And they're sitting at 0-3. They were ranked at 14th last week, dropped to 21st this week. And they got beat by the Jacksonville Jaguars, 17-10. A lot of y'all don't even think Jacksonville Jaguars are good. I'm in the minority when I talk Jacksonville because I like Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne exclusively because of what they did at Clemson. I like Brian Thomas Jr. because he's my fantasy football wide receiver. He be giving me points. I need him. All right. And other than that, because in the group chat, we got this thing about like half of us believe Travis Hunter can play offense and defense at this level. And then the other half think Travis Hunter is going to get completely exposed and obliterated playing both ways at this level. That's about the only reason why I be tapping into Jacksonville. Okay. But it's a week-to-week league. We said that, right? And we already brought up Jacksonville, right? We said, man, did we get to Jacksonville yet? No, we have not got to Jacksonville yet. But I said, man, Jacksonville 17-10 knocked off the Texans. Like I said, Texans supposed to have been good this year. They're sitting at 0-3 right now. Cincinnati Bengals. They were ranked at 12th last week. We obviously know they had the injury to Joe Burrow. Jake Browning looked good last week. And then this week, it was up and down from him. I won't put the 48-10 exclusively on him because you look at the way two of the mistakes were on him. The pick six for sure was on Jake Browning. For sure, he got confused. He had another interception where it was like, you panicked. Felt like the pressure got to him a little bit. But the rest of that, that ain't on him. Dude, they had 3 turnovers in 4 plays. Shoot, they had a pick six and a fumble recovery for a house call. But the flip side was Cincinnati was kind of moving the ball, though. And that was the weird part about it, all right? But Cincy, without Joe Burrow, we feel like they're limited. If we're being fully transparent, right? We feel like Cincinnati, without Joe Burrow, it doesn't have the same flame, right? It looks good. It still has some of that Jamar Chase, some of that T. Higgins. You see a little bit of Samaje Perine. But as a whole, we're like, bro, it's missing it, right? It's like watered down tea. It's like, man, need a little, you got to freshen the thing up a little bit, man. This ain't hitting the same way it used to be, baby. All right? That's how I look at Cincinnati right now, man. But they are currently at 2-1. So we will see how that continues to age because they were 2-0, but they just dropped their first one minus Joe Burrow. So let's see how that looks following that. Atlanta Falcons are the 19th ranked team, according to ESPN. Atlanta, they just got beat by the Panthers. Bryce Young and them, right? Nobody thinks Bryce Young is good. I already know Bryce Young, right? And Bryce has been a work in progress, right? Carolina's a work in progress as a whole. But them boys beat Atlanta 30-0. So Atlanta now sits at 1-2. What's our confidence level in Atlanta, right? They firing coaches. Shoot, my man Ike Hillier. Shout out to Ike. God, dog. They fired him this week, and you look online, they're like, yo, don't fire him. You need to fire the other guy. You need to fire the coordinator. I'm like, God dang. And they're like, yo, fire Raheem after that. So I'm like, God dang, bro, step man on there. What you got going on there, boy? Jeez. But that's how they're being talked about right now, right? So once again, hey, I know only in Pittsburgh, we're the only team that sucks. We're the only team that has expectations and we're not living up to it. I understand that, but I'm like, I could have sworn Atlanta was supposed to be good in the NFC North or South, excuse me. I could have sworn that they were supposed to compete with the Tampas of the world and with Michael Penix and what was supposed to be doing over there, supposed to hit the ground running, but they're sitting at 1-2 and just got beat 30-0 versus the Carolina Panthers. I digress. Let's keep it going though, baby. All right. Jacksonville Jaguars. We said, man, I like Jacksonville. I like what they doing. I like Travis. I like Trevor. I like that combo, man. But they won obviously last week 17-10. They had a big jump. They were at 23 in terms of their ranking last week, excuse me, and now they're ranked 18th on the ESPN top 32. So those are the teams directly behind us. I just wanted to read them off first to see are any of them teams throughout this first 3 weeks, any of those teams I just read off, you're taking above the Steelers, you're putting above the Steelers right now, drop it in the comment section. Let me know. Who? Let's talk about them. Because I'm going to read the 16 teams that we have in front. And I think we'll also be looking at them with some similar, conversations, some similar, thoughts. But I just read the teams that are behind us. So are we overrated? Is this a generous 17? Like, I really want to know because I'm confused at time when I look at where we are and I just peek around the league. I'm like, I know when I just stay here the whole time, it feels like we trash. It feels like our defense sucks. It feels like my offense sucks. It feels like my coaches suck. I feel like everything sucks, right? And then when I look around the league, I'm like, wait a daggone minute. Y'all lied to me. Y'all told me we was cheeks. Y'all lied to me. Y'all told me we were the only teams that weren't living up to expectations. Y'all told me we were the only team that, our talented young players aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's what y'all told me, man. I don't know. DC 53, which one? Just which name? Don't tell me, I don't know, we looking like scrubs of them teams I just named. Which one of them? That's what I wanted to put a name on it, baby. All right. We ain't hide from it. Put a name on it. All right. Because we about to hit this next 16 that's in front of us. I'm going to talk about them too. All right. But that's my only thing, man. Now we play any of those top 10s. It's BTA. We don't know that. We could only play the teams that we could play. The same way all them other teams we didn't read were supposed to be nice, supposed to be this and that. Y'all let me know what your records are 3 games. This is what we're looking at. And we're going to keep doing this. Trust me, man. Every week, every 2-3 weeks, we're going to pull this back up because I want to know. I want to see how we talk about ourselves and how they talk about us. I'm with you, baby. But I really want to know, man. I really want to know. All right. So let's get back to this list then, baby. Let's get back to the list. And shout out to everybody that's participating as well, man. I like when we get to participate and we do some around the league like this, all right? Hit the like button and subscribe. See, we over here having a little bit of fun. Now, let's see the 16 teams that they have rated ahead of us. And let's see, do we agree? Because I truly am hard-pressed to have a hard stance that any of those teams behind us are better than us as we see here today. And that's my thing in DC 53. I love the fact that you brought up the health and why that, and that's the big reason why you're not confident. Trust me, that's part of why I am confident because we don't have the guys that are gone for the season. Deshaun Elliott might mess around and play this, like in a week. JPJ might play in a week. You see what I mean? So it's like our guys are coming back. We haven't had, when I look at Arizona, their lead running back, the guy who's been the bruise of the face, the guy who's really brought a physical demeanor for them the past couple of years, James Conner's gone for the year. That to me is a major blow. He's not going back this year. When you talk about them first couple of games, he's like, bro, we winning and we still banged up. We just saw Derek Harmon, our first round draft pick. We just saw him in week 3 and it was in a limited capacity. I'm like, man, we still missing key players. So that's the thing. I'm just like, all right, just looking around, man. I'm like, man, what of those teams that we're ranked ahead of makes me feel like, oh man, they should be nice, right? So now let's talk about the teams that they do have ahead of us and let's see, do we agree with them? because some of these teams I do feel like, yeah, they got legitimate stances, and we all know those teams. But let's see some of these other teams, and let's see if y'all agree as well. So Arizona Cardinals are the 16th ranked team. Talked about them. They're sitting at 2-1 right now. They just lost to the 49ers 16-15. They struggle in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, but we know the big thing, like I just said, for them is James Conner. He just had the big, nasty injury, man. Definitely need my dude to bounce back, man, but take your time. Take your time, because that was one of them serious ones. So I have questions about what that offense looks like, because now it goes back to how Kyler Murray had to play when they didn't have James Conner. And that's when they would struggle, when it becomes more of a finesse and just pass, try to beat you on the perimeter element, versus having that back that can hit it in the A and B gap, but also give you some of that pass game, man. And that's what James Conner was doing out there. He was doing his thing. He's been doing his thing for the past couple of years out there, man. So I have questions about what that looks like going forward, largely due to the injury. Denver Broncos, they got them at 15. They're 1-2. I think Denver is nice. I'm not going to hold you. Their second loss came to the Chargers. They lost 23-20. Denver, to me, I think is a legit team. I like what I see from Bo Nix. I'm not a Bo Nix fan, but I think Bo Nix and Sean Payton complement each other extremely well. I think they run the ball and their defense is lights out. We obviously know what Pat Surtain could do over there. I think that they have a complete team. They were just young a year ago with Bo Nix. Now they're looking a little bit more mature, but we will still see, because I still have my questions about Bo Nix when he is forced to do more of the playmaking. Right now, if you don't force him out of that, man, he's cooking with Sean Payton. But those are some of my concerns with them. But I think that they should be rated ahead of the Steelers. No ifs, ands, or buts. I think Denver, even at 1-2, is a better team right now. But we will see, though, right, in terms of how it continues to play out. The 14th ranked team. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about the Seahawks. They sitting at 2-1. Y'all watch the same game we watched. They had a lot of success. We had a lot of success. We all felt like, man, it was a couple plays that really boiled down to, but we all pointed to the biggest play in it that resulted in points, right? In terms of the special teams mistake that we had. But they're sitting at 2-1. They just beat the Saints 44-13. Okay. They're the 14th ranked team. They beat us. So I do feel like, yeah, they have to be rated ahead of us because they won the matchup. They won the head-to-head. The same way we beat the Patriots in the head-to-head. It's like, yo, we ahead of them. Seattle, they're ahead of us right now. They for sure beat us, man. And it was a fair game. Like, they have stuff go their way. We have some stuff go our way. But at the end, they didn't make the mistakes that we made. And that is why it's like, yeah. Now, if we got the chance to play them again, would it be different? Unfortunately, we won't know unless it's the Super Bowl. So that's that. The Minnesota Vikings. Whew. I ain't gonna hold you. Minnesota tough. All right. I've watched them. I'm a fan of them. I'm really a fan of Flores, though, man. I like what Flo does, man, in terms of his approach. But to me, man, it's like, yeah, Minnesota, that's going to be an interesting one. I think this is going to be our best test because, honestly, as much as I just, talked about Seattle and I said, yeah, man, they have to be better because they won the matchup. If you ask me, in your heart, most, do you really feel like if it was one game, life on the line, you're taking the Seattle Seahawks over the Steelers? No, I'm not. I'm going to take the Steelers. But the problem is this. We don't have that one game scenario life on the line. What we do have is what happened in week 2 at Acrisure Stadium. It sucks. We might not agree with it. We might feel like, yeah, if you play this game 10 times, we should beat them 6 of them times. But we didn't. The one that mattered most, we did not win that one. So I can't put us ahead of them. It's the competitor in me. All right. I'm sorry about that, Tom. But you know how I feel about you, baby. You know it's all love. But Minnesota, they at 13 right now. They were at 20th last week, right? Because they had their injury at quarterback, switching over to Carson Wentz. But then they got a chance to play Cincinnati, beat them 48-10, and now they moved up to 13. Now they sit at 2-1. And we're not going to discredit what the Vikings did. But at the same time, there were certain parts of that Bengals team where you're asking yourself, are you guys like intentionally doing this? And specifically, man, when you see 3 turnovers happen within 4 snaps of the football, 3 turnovers for the Bengals in 4 plays, not 4 series, not 4 drives, 4 plays. At this level, that is how you get destroyed. It was literally 34-3 at halftime. And you had 2 defensive touchdowns, and they had already 4 turnovers within those first 2 quarters, and they hit a 62-yard field goal. They overwhelmed the Bengals. To me, though, I also look at the flip side and say, man, Cincinnati has success against. They move the ball on them. But you can't beat yourself at this level, man. And Minnesota is a good enough team to take advantage of your mistakes. Well, Cincinnati also has question marks on defense. So you talk about bad situation and then make it worse. Yeah, that's what you get. So right now, on paper, I like Minnesota ahead, but I am anxious to see Sunday. You'll hear my breakdown more so tomorrow when me and Tanisha talk victory formation, and I'll really talk about, strengths, weaknesses, and what we can do to attack, and ultimately our best path for victory. Like I said, we'll do that tomorrow. But I don't hate the Vikings being ranked at 13, especially after what they just did to Cincinnati. How are we going to not say this team is number 12? The Indianapolis Colts, led by Indiana Jones. Daniel Jones got them boys at 3-0. They just beat the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick, 41-20. We can ask how valid the Colts record is. We can ask ourselves, based on the quality of the opponents that they've played against, is this real or is it fool's gold? The things that we do to ourselves when we sitting there too, when they like, well, hold on, who we beat? Who we played on? It's like, yo, y'all be doing that to the other teams, right? They beat the Titans. Titans 0-3. Titans 31st ranked team in the league. Y'all care about that, right? Everybody, Indiana Jones. So it's like, man, with the Colts, though, I look at them like, yo, they looking good. They're scoring a ton of points, man. They're playing good defense. They're protecting the ball. What's not to like about them right now, man? Based off these first 3 games now, can they sustain it? But who's to say they can't? Until they prove otherwise, and that's the beauty of the NFL, and that's why I say it's week to week, because this is your resume. It's living and it's breathing. They change up, man. They get beat these next 2 games. We're not going to be as high on the Colts or Daniel Jones, but for right now, I like them at 12. San Francisco at 11. I don't know. I don't. They beat the Cardinals 16-15. We said that's the James Conner game. Granted, San Francisco is undefeated 3-0. They had them ranked at 11 last week, and they did not move. They have them exactly in the same spot. But my concern is they just lost their best pass rush, their best defensive player. Well, you can make a case between him and Fred Warner, right? But Nick Bosa, ACL, he's done for the year. That is going to have an impact. That's going to hurt them in a big way from a defensive standpoint. But at the same time, we also have to see, how the guys that are going to step up in this place, if they can keep that going from a defensive standpoint, because offensively, we know, man, when Brock Purdy is out there and healthy, they could be a problem. Now, Mac Jones has been out there because Brock Purdy hasn't been healthy, and that's also part of the issue, but they're finding ways to win. Now, do I think if they came out with Mac Jones and played us, we losing to them? Oh, see that. And honestly, if San Fran hadn't been who San Fran has been, they've played in 2 Super Bowls in the past 5 years, right? Lost both of them, but they've been out there though, right? Or at least they've been to, no, not maybe 2, they've been to 1, excuse me, on that one, when they lost to the Chiefs. But it's like, you look at that, and it's like, I feel like some of what we see in terms of when we're projecting the Niners this year, it's still heavily based on what they did in the past. And that's kind of how I feel about the Chiefs as well. We'll talk about that though more, but that's kind of, when I look at the Niners, I don't hate them being at 11, but I do have questions about how legitimate they're going to be this season as it continues to play out. Washington at 2-1. Yeah, Washington's nice. All right. We know Jaden Daniels. We got to see if he can stay healthy. That's some of the questions, some of the concerns right now. Defensively, they've been allowing some big plays also, but the Commanders are a good team, man. They were an NFC Championship finalists last year, right? Lost to their division rival, the Giants, or excuse me, the Eagles, right? Saquon Barkley and them boys. But that's one of those ones, man. As long as you got the quarterback and he's playing at a high level and he's healthy, I ain't tripping on him being at 10. The Kansas City Chiefs at 9. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs being at 9. This for sure to me feels like, because of who they are in terms of their history, and because they still got Mahomes at quarterback, you're obligated to put them in the top 10. I get it. I do. But I question if they weren't playing the Giants, or heck that, if it's the Rushmore week ago. I don't know where this rest came from. The rest from the week before that was airing it out, man. Big ball, big arm, like that rush, right? If that one was out there, I don't feel like the Chiefs would have done that, man. I have serious questions about the Chiefs, man. Their protection up front, I have big concerns about. The receivers is like, yo, they don't have a lot. They don't have what you're accustomed to seeing for it to feel and be talked about like how it is right now. I'm just like, I don't know. But because of their history, I get it. And they got Mahomes. If you got Mahomes at quarterback, you obviously got a chance every week. So respect on that. But from there, man, they got the Rams, and I like the Rams a lot, man. Sitting at 2-1, they just took the L, close one to the Eagles. That's the game, obviously, where you saw Big Jordan Davis get the block field goal, return it to the house, man. Walk off tutty for the dub. I like the Rams a lot. I think with Stafford, I'm a Stafford fan. I like him. I think he's tough as nails. I think he's a true. He's the highest form of what Baker Mayfield is right now. In terms of that, like, I can hit you anywhere across with this arm. I got it. It's big on to get you down the grass, but I also play within the flow in terms of that back foot rhythm. Get it out. But he also has that, like, yo, F you mentality. Like, man, my arm better than whatever you putting out here defensively. And it's the same thing I see when I see Baker, same thing when I see John Maytier. And I like that about them dudes, right? But to me, man, yeah, it's hard to go against the Rams being at number 8 right now. Number 7 on the list, you got the Baltimore Ratbirds. Shout out to the Ravens. Said no one. But they're sitting at 1-2. Obviously got beat 38-30 versus the Lions. They've had, 2 games now where they've allowed over 30 points on their defense. But they got Lamar. They got Henry. They can score. They're tough. So I definitely don't hate them being, at 7. They're tough. For sure, they're tough. Their 2 losses, I'm like, yeah, man. If you're playing anybody other than Buffalo and Detroit in those games, the probability of them winning, skyrockets. It just so happened that you were going against the reigning, defending league MVP, Josh Allen, week 1 in primetime. It's always tough to deal with. And then you turn around and you face a Detroit Lions team that, after getting beat bad week 1 versus the Packers, they have bounced back these week 2 and week 3. But that's also why we say it's week to week, right? But I think the Ravens should be rated higher personally. I don't think that they should be outside of that top 5, because I think that the Ravens are going to be a problem this year. Like, legit, I think they're a top 5 team. But my problem is this: how do I put the Ravens, who are sitting at 1-2, ahead of Tampa Bay, who's sitting at 3-0? I love when I watch Baker and Tampa. I fan out just watching, because they're just so gutter. It's so just like, I don't care what y'all think about me. I don't care what y'all think about the squad. I don't care if y'all think we nice. We're here to mess stuff up. And you watch when they play. It doesn't matter who they play. Even when you go and watch them when they played playoffs, I want to say they had the I can't remember if it was playoff, it was a regular season game when they played the Eagles. It's like, when you watch them, it's like, yo, Baker and the boys, they're not scared of nobody out there, man. They really think they can score on anybody. And I just love that mindset, man. I love the mind, like the confidence that they play with as well, man. But they're sitting at 3-0. So like I said, I'm not tripping on that. Green Bay at 2-1. I'm not a Green Bay fan, but their defense is crazy. So I get why they got them in the top 5. To me, I would flop them with the Ravens. I low-key like the Rams over the Packers. But I get it. The Packers defense is stupid, and I know a lot of people love Jordan Love. I like Jordan like. I'm like Jordan like. I'm not in Jordan Love just yet. I know people swear that he's the guy because he's tall, he's got the athleticism, can run, got the big arm. He makes too many bad plays for me, man, for me to like put him on that pedestal just yet. And I feel like them putting him in the top 5 is largely due to them putting him on that pedestal. And I just don't do that. I don't feel like that about him just yet. So that's why for me, if it was my list, I got him behind the Ravens and the Buccaneers. All right, Green Bay being number 7 on that list. Okay, I'd have Ravens at 5, or actually I'd have Bucks at 5 because Bucks undefeated. Ravens at 6. All right. Then from there, at number 4, Chargers 3-0 undefeated. They look good. They can run the ball. They can play defense. They can pass. They got pass rushes. They got the homie Bud Dupree. So now I got a personal connection. They got one of my favorite safeties in the league in terms of Derwin James being over there. They got a lot of talent, man. They got a lot of pieces, man. A lot of ways to hurt you. And Harbaugh has them boys playing, like an extension of him. Ultra physical, man. ultra physical. So I do like that a lot. I think what he's done out there has truly made them to a competitor. And yeah, man, don't be surprised when they win that division. Like, I for sure think that they take that from the Chiefs, man. Yeah, yeah, I like them a lot. And don't forget they beat the Broncos too, 23-20, because I think the Broncos gonna beat the Chiefs for sure. All right, then at number 3, Detroit. Detroit sitting at 2-1. Obviously, we know Detroit got walloped in that first game, but when you look at what Detroit did versus Baltimore, shout out to my former teammate up in Buffalo, Kelvin Shepard, who is the defensive coordinator in Detroit, man. Shoot, Shep was gonna put me onto my jeweler. All right, y'all see all this shiniest glittery stuff, man. Shout out to my dog Shep, man. Hey, I always appreciate you, fella. You know that. But yeah, man, they sacked my man Lamar. Was it 9 times, something like that? 8, 9 times. Confused them, hit them. Like, they had a lot of success, but at the same time, the Ravens still scored, right? But to me, Detroit, after that first game versus the Packers, man, where they really kind of got their butts handed to them, what they have been able to do defensively, what they've been able to do offensively in terms of Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sonic and Knuckles. David Montgomery did help me win my fantasy matchup. Shout out to him. He went berserk out there on Monday night, so I do appreciate that. They tough. Aiden Hutchinson doesn't look like he was injured at all. They tough, man. They tough. So with that, though, it's like, yeah, how do you not have them in the top? Like, they're for sure one of the top teams in the league. Then they got this team from Buffalo, New York. Buffalo Bills at 3-0, ranked number 2. Of course, I think that they're a little bit too low. All right, I know it's only one more spot, but I get it. The defending champ has to be the defending champ. So I digress. They are the man until they beat the man. You can't be the man until you beat the man. So I'm with it. So keep them at 2. That's fair. But yeah, man, Buffalo's tough. They are very tough. Now, they still got some questions about their defense, man. You look at, how the Dolphins were able to have some success. Obviously, what Baltimore did week 1, that really put them under duress a little bit. But the same way we talk about Lamar, the same way we talk about, the Eagles, the same way we talk about, Burrow, Mahomes company, they got one of them quarterbacks that can literally leave this earth. And when he leaves this earth, it's just like, bro, good luck trying to stop that, man. When Josh is in his bag, and we saw that last year, man, he put together the full season. That's why he got his first MVP. I mean, the turnovers were the big knock on him. He's taken that largely out of his game and has been doing it in a consistent basis while they've been able to add a true running game as well. They're going to be tough to deal with, man. But that's what they've been these past couple of years. So we know we've seen that in the postseason. We've seen it in the regular season. We ain't afraid of it, but you know what that is when you handling it, when you dealing with that, and the quarterback and how he can impact the game, which we've unfortunately seen as well in those matchups. So I ain't tripping on them being there too. And then, of course, they got Philadelphia at number 1, 3-0. They came out that Rams game, found a dub, man. It doesn't matter how you do it. Find a way, right? We can talk about, was it fluky? Was it lucky to block a field goal? The game-winning field goal? Was it fluky to block that and then run that back for a touchdown? Some people make a case. Others will say, yo, that's skill, right? Do your job every single time. It doesn't matter when it happens. You better make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, because you never know when it's going to be the critical play that hurts you, that impacts the game in a negative way. So that's why you got to do it every single time. And for the Eagles, through 3 games, they found a way to do just that. So it's hard to not have them boys at number 1. So in terms of the teams they have rated ahead of the Steelers, my argument was really Cardinals because of the James Conner injury, and then Niners just because I don't think that they're like that, especially with Mac Jones being out there and now with them not having Nick Bosa. But to me, though, I don't hate where we're ranked at. I do think us at 17, kind of middle of the pack right now, is realistic because we're not trash, but we're not great. In the words of Tanisha, we are elite average. It's middle of the pack. It's like, yeah, we're above a lot of these bum teams, but at the same time, we got some questions about how far up the ladder we feel as we start talking about them top 15, top 10, and in the top 5. How do we feel we match up versus them? That's, some of the stuff that makes us feel a little bit uneasy. And that's why, we come up here and we're as critical as we are, rightfully so. But that for sure is one of the things that I do want to see, like I said, because we know how we feel about ourselves because we're heavily in it, right? But it is cool every once in a while to just peek up and let's just see what it looked like around the way, all right? And hopefully y'all were enjoying that. And if y'all were, You know the drill. Hit the like button one time for the culture and subscribe if you are new to the channel, baby.